Little Gay Talk Show with Joel Tatum and Charlotte Shotguns. Houston's hot mess of a podcast. A funny but thoughtful look at the LGBTQIA plus community.
Hey, welcome. It's another episode of That Little Gay Talk Show. I'm your host, Joel Tatum. Charlotte Shotguns is on Pride duty, so she's going to be busy for a while. So we'll probably see her after all the Pride stuff is over with. In the meantime, the show has to go on. Just to let you know, we will be doing a Pride episode as well on Sunday at Buddy's. And my host will be Wendy Taylor, which I was like so thrilled to have Wendy Taylor like be on the show. It's like she just called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, can I do the episode?" And I'm like, okay. So this is going to be fun. But today, I have an old friend on the show who started the show with me when I was first starting to do guests on the show. And he's back. He's a local artist. I consider him a performance artist, more of a performance artist, but his art is amazing. His videos are amazing. And it's gives me some vibes that we're going to talk about here in a minute, because I was listening to music earlier, and I think that you would have, if you had been born maybe 20 or 30 years ago, you would fit into a different genre. So I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. So I'm here with Jacob Socialite. How you doing, Jacob?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm very, very good. I haven't seen you in quite some time. How's everything going?
Everything's going really well. Mm-hmm. It sounds weird to hear myself say that, but yes, things are going really good, and I think life's been really nice.
Mm-hmm. Talk to us a little bit about what's been going on since 2020. Mm-hmm. We were all stuck in the house. That I'm sure they gave you time for lots of projects, lots of things going on. Why don't you talk about that for a little bit?
2020 was very strange because prior to that, I think for 2 or 3 years, I already felt like I was locking myself in a cloister where you kind of stay inside and you don't go out and you just work on art in yourself, and you learn a lot about what you're feeling and all that stuff through art. I had just got out of a relationship that I had just actually broke up with my fiance at the time, so I learned a lot about myself, and I learned it was just weird to see everybody else kind of put themselves in time out also. So that was strange, but I'm glad that all that's like clearing up now.
And what have you been doing since?
Nothing. No, just for the past this is weird.
Well, you haven't been doing nothing. You've been doing a doll series for quite some time.
I feel like I've been doing a lot, but it feels weird to even say I've been doing a lot.
You've been all over the place. You were doing a doll series for a little while. You were doing some artwork for a while. You were... I'm sorry. Are you still doing your OnlyFans as well?
It means a lot that you have actually kept up with this, because I didn't.
Why wouldn't I?
I don't think people pay attention. So I feel like there's, that I'm like, my heart's warmed right now because I feel like I'm doing a lot. It's nice that people actually see it, and it means a lot that you are even just So because when you do art, they say it's a crazy thing for your parents to even say, "Oh, my son's going to be an artist." Great, there goes. And you have fun being poor.
Yeah, exactly. There goes $50,000 in student loan.
I have a whole entire folder of all the different series and videos. Max, my really good friend who does art, had asked me to direct a music video for her 2 years ago.
I
was not ready. I just learned how to do some things, and I wanted to like build myself up until I knew how to.
Why do you think you weren't ready though?
There was a lot of stuff I didn't know about producing. There was a lot of I didn't want anybody else to get involved, and I didn't want to do something that I didn't know how to do yet. And I feel confident now that I've produced shorts and stuff all to myself, and I've done. I filmed a short film one night. It took me 6 months to edit this, and it's 6 minutes long. So, yeah.
Well, the fact that you put the effort into wanting to make sure that you got the product that you wanted shows that this is not just a passing fad. That this was something that you really wanted to make sure that you got right. So it's great to know that hey, I'm going to produce videos. I'm going to learn everything I need to know, the technical stuff, everything else. So I realized that it takes time to learn how to do that.
Yes.
And so to take a 6-minute video, which you probably looked at every day and went, "Oh my God."
Well, there was more footage, but when it came down to cutting everything up, it was about 6 minutes. But I actually have a longer, like 15-minute version that's really long and dramatic, and then it came down to 6.
But this is not the first video. You did the horror. Didn't you do the horror video beforehand?
I did a horror
short beforehand.
Like which horror? WH or HO?
I think it was a WH that I remember. I think didn't we talk because you were supposed to go to LA?
No, I was never supposed to go.
Well, but you were supposed to send it to something like that.
Yeah, that film is actually it's on YouTube. It's called and I signed something that said I have to only speak good things about that film.
Okay, so you signed an NDA. So yeah,
it was my first one. It was like literally like selling your soul to something. The way it's written is very like you cannot talk anything bad about this. We can use your likeness, and I really thought, oh my God, the Illuminati is going to come after me. And I think they did, but they missed. I don't know.
But what was that experience like?
It was nice. My friend Joe Filipino, who is white, which is ironic, he asked me to be a part of this film called Deadly Numbers, A School for Monsters, and it's with a bunch of filmmakers, and I just had a small part, and he directed me in it with FaceTime. Like it was interesting. The first practice for it, or to let your guard down and let somebody else give you direction, it was really intense and nice and sexual and different. I felt like I was doing a drug or having sex, but I was just being directed. It was like nice. Like afterwards, it felt so good. And then when we actually did the scene, my phone cut out. So like, we had to redo it, and it felt better the practice. But it was nice just to get that IMDb credit.
Well, for a lot of people who don't know, who might not have listened to the old episode, the couple of old episodes that we did before, sex and psychology is really a big part of your art.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, sex and the psychological mind is really a big part of your art. Why do you sound surprised that I know?
I'm just happy that you pay attention, because I don't half the time.
I've watched your OnlyFans. I watched your videos.
That is a thing. I think I'm actually going to put the bully on there because it has some graphic. It has some graphic material on it, and I worked.
It had one little graphic scene, and that was it.
There was more, but I cut out too because I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to cut this down so much if I want to put this in festivals. And I submitted it to a place, and I'm sure I could submit it more, but I'm like, or I could just make a quick buck off of it since I worked hard on it. So,
yeah. We're going to go into your whole history. So let's talk about all the stuff you've done on OnlyFans as well. You've had erotic art on OnlyFans for what, the last 2 years? Last 3 years, maybe?
Yes. And the first time I felt really guilty about doing OnlyFans. I felt almost a friend of mine who said he was conservative and Christian. He said he helped me sign up. He was like, oh, well, at least he'll be making money. And I thought, oh, well, if my friend's a good conservative Christian, then maybe he's onto something here. And at the time, Trump was president, and I was like, maybe Donald Trump would be happy that this whore is making money. I mean, nothing against the first. I just felt like, that was interesting. I had nightmares. That all my stuffed animals were like covered in mud. I think it was some sort of like losing innocence. And I think I know I would actually over edit and make it more cinematic or artistic. So it just wasn't like me spreading my cheeks. It's me spreading my cheeks, but with like a pink filter.
So do you really, I know that,
what do you want to see more of, Joel?
I really, like I said, I really love the sexual and the psychological in all your artwork. I realize that there's also some political stuff going on in there, some religious stuff going on in there as well. I think it encompasses the whole idea of homosexuality and dealing with the idea of all those things and trying to live life and going through all the things that go with it, from the darkest sides of it to everything else. And I like the fact that you probe into the dark side of it so much, because it's so interesting, because it really is. I feel like it's art showing homophobia on a certain level, internal homophobia on a certain level.
Yeah. And
using a sexual environment to do so. Mm-hmm.
That makes me really.
I don't know why people are surprised when I really get involved. When I have someone on the show, I really get involved in what they're doing and everything else, and I try to understand it. I don't get it right all the time. I mean, art is very subjective, so I don't get it objective. Very objective. So I don't... Objective or subjective? Objective.
No, subjective.
Subjective, thank you. So I don't get it right all the time. I couldn't even get the objective and subjective right sometimes. I always get confused. So it's my dyslexic mind going back and forth. But, yeah, so it's all about how someone sees it, which is why I was, like I said, I was listening to music earlier, and when I was thinking about the interview and everything else, and I felt like that you would have been in Prince's entourage. And I don't know why I thought that, but I thought that you would have been a member of Prince's entourage, like in the early days, like in the late 70s, early 80s, because you have that aesthetic, because he also had the same sexualized aesthetic. And I thought, I'm like, that's perfect. It's so perfect. And you're smiling at me right now.
I'm smiling because when I've been called Prince, Michael Jackson, all those names when I was in junior high, they'd be like, hey, look at the Prince. Hey, it's Michael Jackson. I didn't understand that. But now that I'm older, both of them would rock the Prince outfit, like actual Prince outfits. And they were both like kind of androgynous and different. I think different for them. So to me now, that's a compliment. Yeah.
I actually got that from watching your Bully video. I don't know why I thought Prince. Yes. I don't know why I thought Prince at first. I'm like, oh my God. He would have been like Prince's director or artist or resident something, but he would have been a part of Prince's entourage because I grew up listening. I was very young. By the way, I was very young when I listened to Prince, and I didn't get a lot of the sexual undertones until later. I mean, at 12, I kind of had a pretty good idea of what he was talking about, but it came from a 12-year-old's mind. And when it comes from a 12-year-old's mind, it's like, he said head. So, yeah, I didn't know, which was funny because I really didn't know what head was. It wouldn't be till I was 17 before I realized what head was. I did not.
That's probably a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, well, coming from my background and everything else, there was some sexual abuse a long time ago.
I actually would really, if you don't mind, I would really it would be very important if we could talk about some of that stuff, because since the past year, a lot I feel it's really important that people address molestation and incest within the community, because I feel like people get confused as what's the difference between gay and incest, and that to me is important that incest survivors are like.
See, now I'm smiling because it's like
I paid attention.
I get, I'm a very sexual being. I've always been a very sexual. I knew I was gay at 6 years old when I peeped in on my parents having sex. Well, my mother and some boyfriend she brought over having sex, and I saw his dick for the first time, and I realized I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why it popped into my head, but I realized I liked that, and that was that. And I knew I liked boys, men, whatever.
Yeah.
I also knew, by the way, I liked older men. That's another conversation. That's another conversation, because that would be years of, being 22 and dating 40, 50-year-old men. And there was some issues. I went through a lot of therapy for a long time. My 30s was spent in a lot of therapy trying to analyze why I had all this stuff going on in my head. So, yes, so there is some confusion now. I'm not ashamed to say that I watch porn. I think everybody in this room has watched porn on some level. It's art. It's 3 minutes of satisfaction, depending on who you are. I'm saying 3 minutes because I'm busy. I have stuff to do. Let me just get this out. And I have, as a man who's a little bit older, You got to keep stuff on the downstairs healthy. I was told, the funny thing I heard.
Young or old, you should always keep everything in check. I feel like since they have gynecologists for women, they should have.
They have urologists for men.
But I feel like that should be. Because my
it's
friend,
not talked about as much.
Yeah, and even if you're younger, it's important to go because we don't go unless something's wrong. And I feel like it's just like a car. You should always get your oil checked.
We go straight from sex to Viagra, but we don't talk about everything else in the middle. We don't talk about keeping everything in check and in order.
And you can actually bust your penis. Did you know? Or you can
yes,
pop
you can
it.
break it. You can break.
It,
yeah,
yes.
you can pop
and
it. You can.
Yes. There's three main balloons is what they say, and you can pop one.
And by the way, if you don't use it, it gets smaller. So it's like,
if you lose weight too, it actually gets bigger.
But if you don't masturbate or have a healthy sex life, it actually gets smaller.
So by jerking off, that can help it too.
Yeah, that kind of helps keep everything. It's like any other muscle in the body. You got to keep it in shape.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know why. This show, I swear to God, we always delve into the dicks. I know we're gay men. I know that we're gay men. And, I would like to be those other gay talk shows where we can be super serious and talk about super serious issues, which we have talked about. But I can tell you right there, somewhere in the line, the dick will come up. And I'm glad that it kind of came up early so we can just go on ahead and get it over with. Yeah. Because I really want to talk about your art. Well, if you watch his OnlyFans, there's a lot of dick.
What made you want to talk about my art? And why do you see
I found Bully to be the most refreshing video I've ever watched. I'm not going to lie. It's the most refreshing performance art I've ever watched. It struck a chord with me. Because it really showed... I didn't see Bully as someone from the outside coming in. I saw Bully as someone who was expressing all of those emotions in that minute. That the bully was the person in the video, not some outside real bully, but the person in the video who had all these dark emotions and everything else, and was beating him. We don't realize that we bully ourselves. Yep. I don't think a lot of people understand that we bully ourselves, and that's what I got from watching your 6-minute video that took you 6 months to edit. Yeah.
The theme of it too was a lot of self hate.
Yes,
a lot of self hate, and
I sometimes have a hard time putting it into words, but self hatred, self loathing. That's what I got from it in 6 minutes, and I'm like, okay, I get this. I completely get this. Maybe I don't know if I express it to him, if that was what he was going for, because sometimes artists, I'm afraid to tell an artist how I feel about their work, because sometimes they're like, that's not what I was going for. I was going for something completely different. But that's how I felt watching it. I felt like it was the idea of years of internal bullying to myself in a 6-minute video.
And to others.
It was amazing. Yeah. It was completely amazing.
Thanks.
So, that's why I'm like, you got to talk. I mean, as a performance artist, being able to, how are you able to delve into the deepest recesses of you to put it out there for the rest of us? How are you, that takes a lot of chutzpah.
I appreciate that. I think.
I guess what I'm asking, what's your process?
To answer the question when you said how do you dive into it, to me it's when I'm making it, it's not for other people. It's for my own. It's for my own. It's like my own therapy.
Which, by the way, audience, have you put it out yet? Because you did put that in the description.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and put it on OnlyFans for everybody. But when I'm making it, I make it for myself. And when I like it enough and I'm proud of it, then I'm happy to share it with everybody else. So there's a lot of stuff that I make that nobody sees, and there's a lot of stuff that I'm proud of that is this project. So I'm going to have it on OnlyFans so people can watch it on there. It's not really sexual, but then it is. So I guess OnlyFans is for everything, but you'll get to see that, and you'll get to see all the other dirty photos. And there's a bunch of other cool stuff, I think, on there. I made another one called Daddy's Boy last December. That one took me a while to make. That one's another weird. They're all like dreams and sex mixed together, which is My Life 24/7.
Daddy's Boy wasn't that May? Was that May last summer? Because I think I remember taking a peek at that. Was it May last summer?
It was made the December before that. That one was just another. I have stuff. I know people mostly. If you're watching porn, for me, if I'm watching porn, I want to get off to some really disgusting stuff. So for me, art and sex don't really mix, but it's kind of initially like what I ended up making or what I do make. So it's weird.
Because that sounds like a contradiction of what you actually do.
No, for me. Calm down, Jacob. I make stuff that it's almost like making a movie that you wouldn't watch. So yeah. It's like making country music, but listening to only rap. So that's how I could describe it best.
It's because, like I said, I feel like it's your best work, though. I honestly think that you have evolved. I think it's your best work. Yeah, I think you are really headed in I think there's new directions for you.
I appreciate that.
I really do. I think you put time and effort into what you do. I feel like I'm just giving you compliments, and I really want you to really be able to express everything that you can possibly can, because we still have
your glasses look nice, by the way.
I have like several different pair. I made sure
nice.
I wore the glasses that I can like really have a conversation with you.
Thank you.
All my glasses have like different. I have my fun glasses.
Are we having a Pride this year?
We just to let everybody know, Pride will not be until fall, and then it's because they were not able to secure permits because the city of Houston still had COVID issues, and they were not giving out permits at the time. So we're gonna do it in the fall, which is fine. Which, by the way, is fine. I'm looking forward to cooler weather.
Yes.
And hopefully, I'm working with some other people. Hopefully, I'll be out there doing the show during Pride. But we still working on that. But there's the bars in Montrose are going to have a little Pride, which I'm actually kind of happy for, because do you know how many queens older queens have complained about the fact that it moved downtown? Oh my God, it moved downtown. Blah, blah, blah.
Uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable.
But it's 700,000 people. You can't squeeze 700,000 people between Elgin and Hazard. You can't do that. You cannot do that. And then you have people who live in the neighborhood. You got people having sex in the yards, throwing trash, all kinds of stuff. No, move it downtown. That way, it's easier for them to take care of. You have a nice parade route. We didn't have a festival before. We've always had parades in Montrose, but we didn't have a festival. You just went to the bars afterwards. Now you have a festival downtown, and the bars are actually quiet, which is, for the older queens, they're like, oh, well, we're going to hurry up and get out of here. And, okay, the parade starts at 9, whatever, because nothing in the gay community ever starts on time. Have y'all noticed that? Nothing ever starts on time in Houston's gay community. If you say 9 o'clock, everybody's like, okay, so it's going to start about 9:20, 9:28, which is ridiculous. I'm like, wait, the parade started at 9:28? Then why didn't you just wait till 9:30 just so you could make it even? But yeah, so it will be in the fall, which is cooler weather. It's not 101 degrees with everybody dipping their feet in that nasty ass pool in front of the courthouse.
I've seen that. They swim in it. I have videos of my friends swimming in that nasty water.
It's not even, what is it, an inch of water?
Yeah, it makes sense that COVID would happen like right after.
Yeah,
that.
Exactly. So it's like, I think everybody's like, oh, COVID. I'm not getting it. No.
I saw them promoting Galveston Pride, which actually sounded really cool.
Well, you can go to the beach. I mean, with Galveston, you go to the beach.
Yeah. That's a new thing. I think it's only like their 3rd or 4th year.
Yeah, it's only
But the way the guy was speaking about it, I was impressed. And I felt weird about the word pride, and, but the way he was speaking about it was just like, it was more for everybody. And I feel like pride should be for everybody in the sense, whatever sexuality or whatever kind of human you are, whatever race you are, we've all been through some shit the past year. So it's the one time a year where we all can come together without hate, and celebrate that we're all the same.
I think 2020 really taught us about internal trauma, and I think everybody's starting to deal with their traumas now. And I think because we're talking about mental health more than we've ever talked about, and I think the last 20 years, mental health 25 years ago. Let me tell you something. That's something yeah, we have one in the family, but we won't really talk about that.
Yes. No, for real. That's true.
That's literally. And then you're asking people to be And I've actually learned this from black women. You ask black women to be the strongest people on the planet, but you don't realize that they can't be strong all the time. Sometimes they're weak and vulnerable, and they need help. They need they cry out for help, but then they're told, nope, you need to be strong, and you need to be strong from age 12 on up. You're an adult from age 12 on up. So yeah, just be strong all the time. Nobody can be strong no human being can be strong all the time. Not all the time. But now we're talking about depression more than we've ever talked about, and I think I know people are going to hate me for saying this. COVID was the best thing that ever happened.
I don't hate you for saying that.
COVID was the best thing that ever happened, because once people were sitting in their house and trying to figure their shit out, we started talking about mental health more.
And you learned what's right for you.
Yeah, we started talking about misogyny, racism. We started talking about things more than we ever talked about ever. And I got to tell you something. I'm so proud of you kids. You kids are out there doing shit. You as a performance artist, oh my God, I'm speechless every time you send me a little clip of something or what have you. You sometimes think that I get irritated with you, but I have so much going on, and then I'll watch a little clip and I'm like, oh my God, Jacob did that. That's so cute. That's cool. That's not so cute. I'm sorry. I don't mean to demean your art in that way, but sometimes your art hits me in certain ways that I'm like, whoa, that's deep. He really gets deep, and that's why I said I love the idea that you get into sexuality and psychology, especially because you're a gay man, and I'm going to use the term homosexual, because the way that you come at it,
I'm actually
as a homosexual, and
I don't want to go ahead and continue.
No.
Okay.
I
love men. I'm attracted to men. I feel to just be seen as a homosexual man is very sad, because you're just, to me, I feel like we're all more than just our sexuality. We're so much more than that. And I think to identify as, this is my gay friend, I kind of get offended by that, because I know that I'm more than that. This is just my friend, or this, is an artist. But yeah, this is my fuckable friend, I guess, now that's like homosexual. Because whenever we identify, the fact that we're even living in a world where we have to say, this is my friend, this is where his mouth goes, this is my friend, she likes it in the butt. Like, it's crazy. I just think we're more than that. But yes, I'm definitely, I have homosexual tendencies, and the fact that I like to only fuck men, but I'm definitely not gay. I'm just kidding. I didn't like mean that as a no, it's fine. People don't know, and the fact that we could even communicate right now is important to me, because my own father, which I love dearly, we can't talk about sex. So that's why I was saying, just to even speak, my dad.
Can you even talk about that? I don't think, even as a heterosexual, if you were heterosexual, you could talk about sex with your.
I think we were just.
Would you even want to talk about sex with your?
It was more like
parents?
just an adult. It was just like an adult conversation about like my dad. What did I ask him? Oh, I asked him what I thought Pride was about, and he said he feels like it's people celebrating what they choose. And so I heard the word choose, and I said, Dad, when did you choose to be straight? And he kind of got quiet, and he's like, well, I mean, I didn't really choose, but and then that's where, you kind of, we're talking about sex, because it's, what are you attracted to? And so he was telling me about when he was younger, him and some friends, I guess, looking at a magazine, and one guy was like, oh, look at that guy's thing. And, we were like, you shouldn't be looking at that. And I'm saying, then once he started opening up to me, I actually was like, Dad, I was joking. And I felt bad, because then he drew it back, and he goes, oh, well, you asked me. And I'm like, here my dad is taking time to actually open up to me, and I'm joking about it, which is very strange and rude. And so I apologize, and I just wanted him to know, if I didn't choose, you didn't choose, but this is to even put such a sexual nature, and whenever I was 5 and told, you can't be gay because you go to hell and blah, 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 hearing that at such a young age, it kind of indents in your head like, oh, I'm not supposed to like this, but that's what I like. And so I think as children also, the whole sexual thing really shouldn't be, get your education first. But back to my father and talking about sex, he was just like, well, I just think sex is, an animal thing. It's an animalistic thing. And I was like, I don't like feeling like an animal during sex. Like, I didn't notice till last year. I was looking at this guy that I was into, like he was a piece of meat. Like I was like ready, like am I going to get off? Am I going to get this? And I really only have sex with people that I love and I like, which is less than a handful. So to hear the animal part, I was like, I don't like that. And then my dad goes, he's like, this is making me uncomfortable. and so for him to hear that, I was like, that's probably a good thing that your dad doesn't want to talk about this stuff with you. But I wasn't trying to, like, you know, describe everything. I was just like, kind of, you know, we're adults. And I thought, and then it struck me, if we can't talk about sex, and I'm 34 now, I think. Yeah, 34. I think if we can't talk about...
You're too old. Get the fuck out of my house.
Right? I think if we can't talk to sex... I think if people are having sex, they should not talk to the children about it, but when they're younger, like young adults, when they're mature enough to have sex, just speak to them so that they're safer and everything's okay. So, yeah, I think that's important.
You know, I wanted to apologize to you because I think I said the wrong thought to you earlier.
It's okay. I forgive you.
I think that the reason why I used the term homosexual earlier is because like I said in your bully video, I love the fact that you devolved gay down to homosexual down to just you. And the whole thing is that, as you said earlier, you don't want to be... My biggest thing when I would go to family reunions or family events and I stopped going, and I told my parents why I stopped going, is the fact that every time they introduced me, they would say, hey, this is my gay son, Joel. And I'm like, okay. Or, hey, you know, my son is gay, but I love him, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, at first I thought it was cute for like 5 minutes. But then after a while, it was like, can I just go back to being Joel? They don't need to know all my business unless I choose to tell them my business. This and that. You don't need to warn people. I feel like it was a warning to other people ahead of time that, you know, I'm like, why are you warning people about the fact that I'm gay? Well, I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to show pride in the fact that, no, just introduce me as Joel, which is what I got from that. Because I love the fact that you de-evolved the whole idea of identity. You went from gay being the top back to homosexual at the basics, and then back to the person, which is Jacob.
Thank you. You're very lucky. I appreciate that very much. And of course, you're forgiven. You're my buddy. You're very blessed to have even been. And it sounds sad, but that you were even invited to family events. I actually was told by my mother at the time. I had a guy that I was with for 7 years, and she said, hey, you can come, but if you're going to bring your partner, just don't kiss in front of the children. And that's really...
it's always about the children.
Yes, and it's sad, and it's like, basically you're telling me not to love the person that I love because it might turn children gay. They might see something. That is a really sad thing because there are so many heterosexual people that are... It's sad to point the finger at somebody. To me, I call it ping-ponging. Everybody... that was just really insulting. So, yeah, I have to deal with that stuff.
I think the most amazing story that my cousin told me at the time, he still hadn't told his family, but they all knew. Everybody, it was not a secret. I mean, he literally didn't have to say anything, and I was not very happy with him about that because I'm like, I really think you should really just come out to your family and just tell blah 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 blah. And he's like, no, they don't need to know that, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, whenever you're ready. Now, I come from a generation where we try to force you out of the closet. Now it's like, you take your time. And I understand it now. I completely understand it. The things that happened in my generation, when I look at it from a young person's eyes now, it's like, oh, my God, we were fucking toxic as hell. We were fucking toxic as hell. But I think a little bit of difference with my generation. My generation had to deal with an AIDS crisis at the time. So we did the best we could. We were trying to survive and stay alive. That's what we were doing.
Do you watch Pose?
I'm afraid I have not had time. I watched all of season 1 and half of season 2.
Episode, and I feel like that, to me, I don't know.
But I know that it's about to close out season 3, so I'm going to catch up.
It's already closed.
Yeah. So I'm going to catch up.
So
it's not a big deal.
It's the best gay show I've ever seen.
It is. It's amazing.
Really
I don't call it a gay show. I think it's the best trans show I've ever seen. I think it has a gay character.
It's one of the best shows. The most original. So I got really excited.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It's the most original show I've ever.
I've just never seen that before.
I'm fucking glad that I'm not seeing 5 white guys with 5 white girls having.
I caught myself there with the gay show thing. Now I feel like I have
doing
to
the whole
apologize.
Friends, How I Met Your Mother thing all over again. I'm so glad to see that we're having different voices, different conversations.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. The pose. I'm sorry. I'm like Jacob. I'm super thrilled for you to be here because you're like I said, everything about your art excites me.
Thank you.
So, so Pose, yes. It's the most amazing show ever.
I love
Ryan Murphy, thank you and everyone behind the camera, in front of the camera, the writers, directors, are trans.
Yes.
And
African American. Like, they're all I don't
people
think
of color.
Yes.
People of color.
I've never seen that. Before, and it really fascinates me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So to see people of color, and you know what? This expands another world of entertainment because we're getting fresh new voices, and they're going to go on to do great things. All the people on that show are going to go on to do great.
I've never
Angelica
seen
Ross has a tech company.
Does she?
She's teaching tech to the trans community, so that the trans community, they don't have to do sexual work like they were forced to do. There's employment opportunities. She's really getting into. She grew up in tech, and that's her thing, and she wants to. I mean, that's amazing. That is amazing. So to see everyone from that cast be able to, and can I be honest here when it comes to the trans community? To me, a woman is a woman is a woman. I never understood the term trans for the longest time because I'm like, she's a woman. I mean, what's the problem?
The word's funny.
Well, why? I mean, I
think women and trans women are two different things. That's how
I know.
feel.
I just think a woman is a woman is a woman.
Because women and trans, like gay.
As a gay man, y'all all women to me. That's honest. That's my truth.
So do you think if you're with a trans woman or just a woman, then you could call yourself straight if that's a woman to you? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can respect
But
that.
I don't want to call myself straight because I'm a gay man.
I got you.
I want to be with men.
Yeah. I do too.
Mm-hmm.
But not the gay way.
Yeah. in the most base of,
Ooh, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just want some new kind of love. Like definitely with a man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like definitely with a man. But just some new love that I don't know, create something different.
Well, you know what? That is an interesting question. I don't think I've ever asked you this question. I don't recall. I'm not going to say his name, but was the person that we had on the show, were you dating before? Was that your fiance or is this another person?
No comment.
No comment. Okay, that's
comment.
fine. That's all we need to know. Because those shows, by the way, currently are not around except on one medium. So that's way back.
I'm trying to learn when you love somebody, you protect it. So that's why.
But moving from that, honestly, what are you looking for in another person? What's your I can't believe I'm using this term. What's your magical Disney love thing with another dude that you're looking for?
Somebody that has a sense of humor, for sure. I feel like I could go on to like, he has to look like this. He has to make this kind of money. But I've learned that those don't mean shit. I've had people like take me, money's not impressive to me. To me, somebody that that can make you laugh and make you grow as a person, somebody that is an equal. Yeah.
Do you have a type? Is there a type?
Okay, right now I'm kind of going through this fetish.
His friend is shaking her head. She's shaking her head. He's trying to say,
like
no, I don't really have a type.
I like people that are different. I think I used to like, I used to always want white boys. It was always like, oh, I want a white Ken doll. And then it turned into, okay, I want a white Ken doll that is a bad trailer trash guy. So then it like became this weird, then I got into like, I kind of like creepy guys. I have a creepy guy fetish. Yeah. Sounds horrible. I think that's why I watch straight porn, because I feel like those guys are the real creeps. Like, yeah. So I'm like, look at this horrible guy just use this woman. Oh my god, that's like, and then misogyny got me off. Like seeing this guy objectify this woman, which is actually kind of how I got into the dolls. Because dolls and objectification, and the history of them is so interesting to me. And if, but yeah, back to what I'm looking for. Just somebody that can be an equal, that can laugh with me, and we can both make each other better. We can, and right now, you have to love yourself first. So I've been doing a lot of that, loving myself, and I'm ready to share that with somebody. Yeah,
because I'm trying to picture somebody with you, and I'm like,
you're gonna die alone.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that because I'm at the age where it's like, I'm probably gonna die alone. But I'm okay with it because I'm going to travel and have fun and do shit along the way. I'm going to enjoy my life.
I think we're going to live for a really long time.
I am going to enjoy my life. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I like I said, I have a couple of friends and I who are still single. We're now of that age, and we're like, we're probably going to die alone. But shit, I'm going to die between two men at 80 years old. Between two 30-year-olds. That's how I'm going to die, and I'm going to be happy about it.
That sounds nice. It sounds nice if they die in between you.
Oh, I don't want...
Sorry, I'm into necrophilia.
Okay. Oh, I don't want that. I've had all kinds of experiences. I have not had that experience yet. And
You've
I'm not
never
looking
had
for...
somebody pretend, act like you're dead, like while you're having sex?
No.
Oh, you have not lived, no pun intended.
How do you do that? I'm a noisemaker.
You're a dead corpse.
I'm a noisemaker. It's like, you gonna ask me, how you gonna ask me? You doing stuff that I like. How are you gonna ask me to just be lay there?
You could make noise without talking, if you know what I mean.
But then you're not dead. Then the whole necrophilia
the noises
fantasy
wouldn't
goes
come
away.
from your mouth. The noises wouldn't come from your mouth. They'd come from somewhere else, like a dead orifice or something.
Okay, but...
So. I didn't get to do the Halloween show, so that's why I'm like... Yeah.
That's why you're making up for it?
Yes. And yeah, no joke, I was gonna bring a pumpkin with candy and everything, but I was like, don't bring anything. Last time I brought, I think, some party hats and some stuff. But yeah.
So no, you're not going to die alone. I was just curious because such a deep artist as yourself, that's going to be...
Well, die alone.
I think it's going to be...
will make money off of my art. I think that's when my art will actually sell, is when I'm dead.
I don't think that's going to happen for you. I really do think that you are...
I'm playing it down a little bit.
Yeah. You always do, though.
Whenever I actually do...
You do not take compliments well, by the way.
I don't, and I don't really talk too much about whenever I actually sell pieces, because I know when people sell a house, or they loved, I just sold this, and every once in a while I'll post about when I sell certain things, but I feel like it's a little tacky to discuss money and stuff like that with people. And after the art show I had at House of Blues, I posted all about that and the money, that I got from that, and I had a friend come and hang out with me, and share with me my celebration while I spent all this money on him, and then once that was done, there goes the friend. So you learn a lot about people and money. Yeah. Well,
you just have to handle your money better, sweetie.
This past year, no joke, I've actually learned how to add and subtract, because I've never looked at my account that much before. So I feel like, having a little bit of money to learn to add and subtract is really important. And checking your statements. You have to check all your statements. I got really, I'm not trying to be, I'm really,
don't feel embarrassed. I
was going to say Jewish, and I am a little Jewish.
I was 50 when I said, you know what, I need to get a hold of my money.
Yes. I count, and there's times where I'm like, I hate having, buyer's remorse, where you look at something, you're like, is this worth it? No, I looked at this is gypped. I need my change. Let me check that receipt. Yeah.
I hate the term buyer's remorse, simply because if you wanted it and you bought it, then enjoy it. But if you don't want something, then, it's pure and simple. Here's how I break it down now. If I'm gonna buy something and I never use it, then it goes away. And then I'm like, you know what?
Would you gift it, or would you throw it away?
No, I'm trying to sell it. I need something back from it. I mean, I need something back. Not all. I'm not going to get all my money, but I know I'm going to get something for it.
Do you ever have the worst? I'm the worst at impulse purchases. Like you're in the store and you're like, you know what? Let me grab all this stuff I don't need. I'm the worst at that. Really bad. I'll grab random balloons or some weird color spray or something, because with art too, you could basically anything. So
that didn't start happening until I was bored with sitting around the house during COVID. And it's like, I never used Amazon for years.
I still haven't used it yet.
And then suddenly COVID, it's like, you know what? I want to cook something. And then I realized I had 3 pots and a spatula. And I'm like, oh, shit. I can't go. Because no restaurants, at the early days, no restaurants were open. So all you could do was go to the grocery store. And I'm like, you know, I can only put so much in the microwave or what have you. So I just started buying all the shit. Because I'm like, oh, I'm going to cook. And I did learn how to cook, by the way. I think my biggest purchase was...
me to dinner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was an air fryer. I don't even know why I bought an air fryer. I realized you need to stop being on Amazon because now you just bought an air fryer.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
You know what? I like cooking Asian food.
Ooh, I love Asian food. Do you make it spicy?
I like super spicy.
I love spicy.
I love spicy food. So yeah, I learned to cook. I have all my Asian sauces, spices, everything. I went all out. I made sure I have all my noodles that I need for any dish I want to make. The only dish that I have not conquered yet is fried rice. I have tried time and time again. I clean the rice. I use the leftover rice, but it still comes out clumpy and a mess, and I do not know what I'm doing wrong. and I realized when cooking with a wok, everything needs to be ready beforehand. Lesson learned.
I can't cook,
because I try to do everything like, okay, I'll chop the onions and then I'll add it, and then I'll chop the stuff. No, everything needs to be done ahead of time because once that wok gets super hot, everything, if you don't put it in, it's going to burn it, and everything's going to come out terrible. So I had what they call pre-make, or make all your stuff ahead of time. So when you're ready to cook, you just throw it all in the pot. It's done in 5 minutes, and you're good. Asian food is actually quick. It's very quick to make. And so when that pot is super hot and you toss this in and that in, and then you add this ingredient and that ingredient, it's done in 10 minutes. It's the prep work. I'm sorry, prep. It's the prep work. As a gay man, I should know the term prep. But prep work, you have to do all the prep work ahead of time. So everything needs to be chopped. Everything needs to be everything needs to be ready. So I know prep and prep.
I just keep thinking the word the gay man term. I'm like, I'm not just a gay man, Joel. I'm also an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, once again, the biggest part of being a gay man.
Well, I mean, whenever you're told you're not, an equal citizen at the time, of course, people are going to have their guard up. And especially, I feel like now, like, I wouldn't know what that was like for people. Back to pose again with the whole a person of color and transgender and whatever being put in that category. No wonder those people have their guard up and diva this and that. So.
Okay, so what do you think Pride means to you this year? I think Pride's a lot different for me this year. I think it really is. I'm really starting to come into my own. It took me a long time. I'm 53, so it took me a long time. By the time I was 50, I was like, oh, I don't give a shit about nothing. No. I'm actually happy with the fact that I don't have to care that much about shit. I can say whatever I want to say. That's not to say that you should. You should not be yourself 100% of the time. You should be yourself about 95% of the time. That other 5% you have to think about because you don't want to offend it. I don't want to offend anyone. And I want to respect people's pronouns, their identities, whoever they are, because now I'm starting to it's a joy to do. It really is a joy to see people 100% being themselves, where we saw glimpses of it in the late 80s and early 90s with androgyny and everything else. We saw glimpses of what was supposed to happen. We should have actually been here a long time ago. And if it wasn't for AIDS, we would have been here long. We should even be having these conversations about gender and all this other stuff because we were already starting to talk about it in the late 80s and early 90s. And if your parents deny it, they're liars. By the way, if you're in your 30s, your parents, your dad wore a little makeup and he had his hair poofed up and whatever. He wore 2 earrings and everything else. And he had to deal with his father going, you look like a fucking girl or a fucking fag. And he's like, Dad, men can wear makeup too. And then, that whole kind of thing. So if you're in your 30s and your parents did not, nope. Yep. You can just pull up pictures.
That's funny.
And amazingly, you can pull up pictures. And yeah, Dad had a little eyeliner on, and we were talking about gender identity and gender equality and all this other stuff. But once AIDS took over, that whole thing was lost, and we had to learn how to survive.
I know that I definitely have I have pride for knowing that I'm more than just my sexuality. That's what I have pride for. I know that back then, I'm happy that our brothers and sisters fought for what we have now way back in the day. So I wish I could take credit for stuff like that, but that makes me happy. But I wonder what they would think of the generation now and what they fought for everything. And to me now, pride is such a advertisement for Budweiser, for everything. It's all about sell this, sell that, because sex sells.
Which, once again, thanks to you young people, y'all are starting to kick back on that too. Now y'all are starting to have the conversations about, wait a minute, y'all were not around.
I thought that too. Oh
yeah,
my God.
Y'all were not around
where were you
when
before? Now you want to
where were you
with
before
us?
when we were trying to get gay marriage happening, when we were trying to fight in the streets?
And now you want to jump in and make that money.
We got trans women of color being shot. I mean, all the time. Where were y'all then?
Really smart advertising.
Suddenly, here comes
Have you seen the commercials for it? Like,
yes.
I've never, ever seen this many advertisements on TV for Pride. Everything, they want to jump in because they got to make that. They got to make that money.
They got to make that gay
and with
dollar.
COVID, they are going to kill it this year. No pun intended.
But there's a lot of groups that are pushing back on the idea of
September
corporate entrenchment. Yeah, if you haven't done anything and like I said, that comes from the young people. If you haven't done anything else for us beforehand, don't jump in June and then July you gone. We're not doing that anymore. We're watching the companies that are getting involved and going, so what did you do? What did you do for us last year? What are you going to do for us the entire year? Not just the month of June, but the entire year. I was not upset about corporate sponsorship maybe in the early 80s and 90s when it started. I mean, early 90s is when it really started to take off. Well, the first time I saw Wells Fargo in a gay pride parade, I think was 95. And they were starting to understand the community. And they actually were working in the community. At the time, they had a lot of their people who worked there who were openly gay and lesbian. And so to see them on floats and everything else, to see them actually working in the community, that was fun. But now all these brands are popping up, and it's like even goddamn cereal. I'm like, I open a box of Lucky Charms. I'm like, you already have a rainbow. I mean, y'all had rainbows before all this stuff, and now suddenly you're like, it's all about gay pride. No. It's too much.
It's fun though.
It's too much.
It's fun to watch. It's fun to see everything come to this.
Yeah, exactly. But like I said, you kids are catching on quickly, and you're going on the internet. You're going on TikTok. You're going on Twitter. You're going on all these sources. And I actually didn't start watching TikTok until summer 2020.
I'm like afraid
2020.
to use a new editing equipment.
Yeah, I'm learning social media. I was learning social media. I was taking a social media course over the summer because I needed to upgrade. I needed to know what was going on. As an older person, I need to know what's going on. And then be able to keep up because I'm doing this show and I'm going to talk to people who are younger and I don't want anybody. Can you explain to me what Twitter is? I didn't want to.
Twitter's all porn now. Have you been to Twitter recently?
You know what? Thank you for bringing that up.
Yes, I got on Twitter too, and I was like, damn, this is good for porn.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
All porn now because they don't have Tumblr.
Exactly. I'm like, the first thing I open up, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see what news is happening on Twitter.
Maybe subscribe to.
Yeah, what news is on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice dick pic. Thank you. That's a nice shot of you whacking off to whatever you're doing. I'm like, good Lord, and I've seen all shapes and colors, and I'm like, oh, this is. Yeah, cornucopia of dick. This is like a dickateria. I mean, I'm like, wow. Is that from South? That dick is from South Africa. Look at that. So it's a little bit too much sometimes on Twitter, but I understood it was because Tumblr did away with all of that. That was the biggest mistake Tumblr ever made. I'm sorry to say it. It was the biggest mistake Tumblr ever made. Where is Tumblr now? I'm sorry, but it was the biggest mistake Tumblr ever made to suddenly decide to censor what was on their thing.
Do you remember the day Craigslist there was no more like adult stuff on Craigslist? Like you can't. It was like a sad. All my friends all of a sudden were like, "Oh my god, Craigslist got shut down!" Like it was crazy. It was funny.
And that's when it became. That's when ingenuity popped in, and now we have OnlyFans. Look at that.
Maybe.
And it turned around.
Yeah,
it turned
it's
around
the same thing, but like, hey, if you're gonna put it out there, make that money. So,
and I'm all for sex workers.
Yes.
I'm completely 100% all for sex workers. If this is your chosen profession,
artists, artists,
not just artists, but people. Because I realize that sex workers really do have an important function in the community. I really do, especially when it comes to people who have handicaps, people who are not socially out there. These people need the comfort of someone, and it's a job, and you get paid for it and everything else, and you provide comfort to someone. It's not just about sex, though.
Yeah,
it's just people wanting to feel human, wanting to feel touched, wanting to feel loved. So
I was thinking. Love wins. What are your thoughts on the whole? When I hear love wins, and then I think of pride, I also kind of get confused because, and help me out here, where you're celebrating pride, which is homosexuals, so it's a sexual thing. But then you're also saying love wins, and I think people also get sex and love confused. But I know that we're also celebrating, marriage equality. So it's. I think it could be confusing for.
Well, I don't really see it as. This is not a celebration. I think from this point on, this is no longer a celebration of gayness.
Yes.
This is now going to be a celebration of transness, which has been so needed for so long. So I think we're on that movement. It's the trans community. You're stepping up because we've been in the shadows for too long, and as a member, especially a member of the old school gay guard, we kind of kept you there, and it wasn't intentional, but we kind of
to see what else is going to come out.
Yeah,
like,
but
what else is
now,
gonna be a thing.
But now, because of more visibility, this is the age of the trans. This is the age of trans. Whether you're male or female, this is the age of trans, and this is a sexual revolution that is long time in coming, and. It's not just trans people. It's people who are. Oh Lord, I'm sorry. This is a very exciting. When I get really excited, the words leave me.
Yeah, I'm the same.
The words leave me sometimes, but we're starting to have a talk about gender roles, and I think we haven't had that conversation in quite some time. I saw an ad. Read an article about I think he's Dutch. I'm going to say Dutch or Danish. 50, straight man, an architect, wears the most fabulous dresses I've ever seen, and he is straight. And he says, I am 100% straight.
I believe that too.
But he shows off each dress. I mean, he wears the most beautiful dresses I have ever seen. So we're really starting to see the idea of gender roles, or starting to.
When we spoke about Prince, he was very flamboyant. And
he was very flamboyant.
That was sexy to me. He was
exactly.
Yeah.
He was 100%. I mean, here he comes in. I remember Midnight Special, watching him very late at night. Was not supposed to be up, by the way. Wasn't even supposed to own his album, so my parents couldn't understand how I managed to get a hold of his album. But here he was, this long, straight permed hair. I mean, it was beautiful. It was feathered. I mean, it was gorgeous. Just gorgeous hair, and these black leather pants, ass sticking out on the Midnight Special. At 17, he was 17, and I'm like, I cannot remember it was a very old song, and I cannot remember it, but you can probably look it up on YouTube. But he was just 5'2", just singing his little ass off, and the audience did not know how to respond. They 100% did not. That was the first time that I'd seen an audience go, I don't know. What just happened? What just happened? And he walked off that stage, and that was the end of it. But it was the most incredible set I'd ever seen.
You're gonna have to send that to me.
Oh, you can just look it up on YouTube.
Okay. I know a couple of Prince songs.
Yeah,
That's it.
you have to go way back, way back.
Yeah.
Look, I just literally compared your art and everything, and said that you would really grow up in that. You need to know your Prince stuff.
Do I?
Because your art really does remind me of him, because he took he turned.
Oh, it's funny too because later he went by The Artist,
Yeah.
which is now funny.
Mm-hmm. Because he turned heterosexuality on its ear, and he turned the idea of manliness on its ear, of the idea of what a man is. And we're really starting to have these conversations now, and it's really because of the trans community. Mm-hmm. It really is. It really is. So this is this Pride is a celebration of trans, everything trans. So I'm proud.
I don't feel the same way, but
I'm proud, and that's how I feel.
I know, and I appreciate that. I respect. I feel like this year it's more for everybody, especially when I see the advertising. I'm like, I feel like it's not even about. It started off as gay pride, but I feel like now, when I went downtown and I saw my homophobic brother there with his baby mama, which I was happy that he was there, but I was like, where were you whenever, back then you didn't support this. Now everybody's jumping in and everybody's, wants a piece of that. They want to celebrate the rainbow. And I feel like it's almost like going through A to Z instead of LGBT. It's everybody, every color, every race. But I think this year has been nice because, sorry, I'm like catching myself. I think just with the whole trans thing, with Pose, I guess. I don't know. Sorry.
Well, I've learned everything from. I've been fascinated about trans history for the last few months now. Everything from the Compton cafeteria riots, because I don't think that we have bounced up and down, and all around when it comes to trans issues on this show, and we have not really firmly committed or put our foot down until Charlotte entered the picture, and Charlotte really changed.
Is Charlotte trans?
No, Charlotte is. Charles is a performing drag queen, gender nonconforming.
Gender nonconforming. Okay, I'm still learning all this stuff.
Yeah, so Charlotte has really opened my eyes, because I wanted to learn, but I didn't know what sources to use and everything else. But she has really helped this show to understand the idea of gender nonconformity and trans issues and everything else. So she's really changed my mind, because like I said, I'm old school, and the trans community has always been a part of the gay community, but they've either been excluded from our community due to their transness, or when we did include them, they would be at the back of the bar, and someone we would laugh with and make fun of, and that's it, and blah blah blah, and then we'd watch them go off and do sex work, and that would be that, because that would be the only way that they could earn a living at the time.
I feel like there's going to be more. I really feel like the community is going to be A through Z. Like, who else is going to come out as this? Or you said even, what are the AI part of the LGBT?
No, asexual.
Okay.
People are starting to realize their sexualities, and really starting to be a bit more
Speak
free
about it and learn, so we can learn.
Be freer about sexuality, more than they've ever been before. And I think when it comes to gay and heterosexual, I think we're loosening up the terms a lot. We are completely loosening up the terms, and that's really something that I'm Gen X. I do not want this to be confused. I am Gen X. I am not the boomer generation. The boomer generation has had the hardest time with all of this stuff, but they're going to be dead soon. So they're going to be dead. They're going to use up all my Social Security, and that's why I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do right now. Because they are proud to say, I've actually had a boomer in my face say, we're going to use up all your Social Security, but we're going to be dead. So sorry for you. And I'm like, are you fucking motherfucker? This is why I'm like, yeah, millennials hate the boomers. They've destroyed our environment. They're going to use up all my Social Security. I'm going to have to work until I'm 80 years old. These bitches got to retire. These bitches got to buy a house without having credit. You know when credit started rolling around? During the mid-1980s, my generation. That's when we had yes. That was not something that happened during their generation. It happened as soon as we became of age, and we were starting to become of age in the 80s. That's when the whole credit thing started to happen. Now you had to have a credit report to do shit. It started in the 80s. A lot of people don't know that. And I'm like, these motherfuckers. They ruined They went to college for very little. I mean, they went to college, paid a little bit of tuition, bought a house, paid $100 down on their house, then get mad at me because I'm like, wait a minute, I can't. Y'all want me to pay 3.5% on a $500,000? No, I can't. I can't do that. If you think millennials have a problem, imagine us. We had a problem too. It's like we had to learn how to do all this shit, and it's because of the boomers. Boomers ruined everything. So die, boomers, die. Not the ones in my gay community go, I love you. Y'all have really.
Did you hear about Chrissy Teigen losing all these endorsements because she told Courtney Stodden to take a permanent dirt nap? Isn't that crazy?
That's Twitter. I don't get involved in all that Twitter mess. Yeah. That's Twitter. Chrissy Teigen, I love her, but sometimes people don't know how to shut up on Twitter. Think about what you're about to say before you say it. Don't just tell somebody to take a dirt nap. I mean, unless you put some like smiley faces, smiley emojis behind it, and then it's cute, and then it's like, oh, everybody's laughing. But if you don't put emojis behind shit, people gonna take your shit seriously. You got to put some emojis behind shit. I've learned that from text, especially from text. And when I say something to someone and they're like, "Are you mad at me?" and I'm like, "Bitch, I'm not mad at you. I was just answering your question." I mean, now I have to put emojis behind everything to make sure everybody understand. Ha ha, I'm just kidding. That's how you get in trouble. Emojis.
You get in trouble by not properly communicating.
Yeah, exactly.
And to that with the emojis, you know how I feel about this.
And proper punctuation.
Speaking so that you don't have to guess how the person is through a text, because it went from vocalizing stuff to text message to now emojis. So what's next? How more can we be less connected is what I'm asking. You know?
Yeah, exactly. But I think, like I said, I think COVID kind of changed that too, because once we had it taken away from us, once we had connection taken away from us, I think we're embracing each other a lot more than we did before. And I'm a very optimistic person. I sat through all of that, the most depressed I've ever been, because I had no one to do the show. I was about to close the show.
I was actually probably the worst. I was the saddest.
I was scared out of my mind because I was alone.
It was bad.
And I'm scared out of my mind because I don't know what's happening out here. I watch the news way too much, and I'm like, am I going to be looking at zombies running down the street?
No,
I mean, like all the sci-fi movies were coming true, and I'm like, no, damn it, should I have gone out and got a shotgun?
No, it really did feel like that. Yeah.
You know, was I wrong about so many things? Is this going to be the road? Am I going to have to kill? I'm going to have to watch my. Am I going to be a cannibal? What's going on? I'm not eating nobody. Okay, I barely eat ass, so I'm not eating. So I'm not eating anybody. So that's not going to happen. I'm just going to starve to death or learn how to hunt. I started watching survivalist videos.
Oh, really?
During the summer too, because I didn't know. I'm like, do I need to learn how to make a fire in the woods? I learned how to make a fire.
Okay.
I learned several different ways to skin a deer.
No way.
If I had to.
Okay.
If I had to. I didn't actually do it. I just watched a lot of YouTube videos and, figured out what kind of equipment I'm going to. Look, if you're going to have to survive, I need to know what kind of berries and mushrooms and stuff I'm going to have to eat if shit hits the fan. I'm going to have to learn how to do this stuff, how to defend myself. I'm going to have to make a spear if I can get a gun. I had to learn all that stuff, and I'm like, that was the most afraid I'd ever been. Now I'm like, I got vaccinated. I don't want to have a conversation about how you feel about vaccinations. That's between you and your doctor. But I got vaccinated, and now it's like, I just want to hug everybody. I just want to love on everybody. Yeah. I need sex, by the way, because that was the longest. I'm a very sexual being. I enjoy being. I
admire
enjoy the
people that are.
company of another man, and I'm not all into this versatile. I'm sorry, I'm not all into this top and bottom shit. It's like I'm with a man. Let's just do whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. That's the way I feel about it. But I don't have a problem with you being a bottom. First of all, let me say this 100%. One more time. Thank you, bottoms. Thank you so much. You are men who take other men. And I know that's a lot of work.
That's manly to me.
That's the manliest thing on the
right.
That is
I feel like somebody got very scared of homosexuality and was like, you know what? Let's make them feel weak because they're going to make us look like less. Because to me, that's more masculine.
This is why
a dude up the ass than like being gay and having sex with a woman.
This is why heterosexual males are more fearful of gay males than they are of lesbians, because of the idea of being the bottom, the idea of being in what they can conceive as the feminine role, which, by the way, the last time I checked, that was another dude. So I'm having sex with another dude. I don't know where the feminine role came in because he's taking it, but that's another dude to me, and I'm okay with that. And if that dude is masculine or feminine, by the way, this is my evolution. I grew up with gay men who were like, "Oh no, you don't date a femme man. You don't do that. You don't date a man whose purse is bigger than yours." That was always the saying. Don't date a man who has the same purse as you. And I'm like, wait a minute. The last time I dated a man who had the same purse as me, he was the best top on the planet.
Yeah. Why would you listen?
Yes, he looked fabulous when he walked out of my apartment, but he was the best top I ever had. I don't believe in that whole masculine, feminine shit. It's men having sex. I respect a feminine man because you know what my father told me? A man is a person who knows who he is and walks out in the world with that. I'm breaking it down a little bit, but that's basically what it said. Just be a man. Yeah. And if being a man means that you have a nice clutch and you're the most effeminate thing on the planet, you're the best man ever. You're the strongest man ever, because it takes a man to be able to put up with all the shit that you're going to have to put up with to be you.
I like that.
So all these masculine men running around hiding, because to me, you're hiding. You're falling back into the heteronormative. But for me, the most masculine men are effeminate men. Those are the most masculine men on the planet, and I admire them. So, but it's not once again, it's not a put on a pedestal thing, because a lot of people get that confused. This is not a pedestal thing. This is another human being who I like, who I have fun with, and that's it. No matter what color he is, no matter his masculinity level, that's the biggest bullshit on the planet. But unfortunately, that's the term I'm going to have to use. Yeah. Not even if they're trans or what have you. A man is a man, and a man is a man. A man is a man is a man, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm good with it.
Cool.
So, and like I said, it's because of you young people, and I'm enjoying my life because you know what? I'm having the best time ever. Because if I kept that mindset that I kept before, I would not be able to enjoy my life. I would be a bitter queen sitting up in the house.
Being angry at everybody.
Yes. Now I'm having a good time. I'm meeting new faces, new people. I'm having new experiences I've never had, and I enjoy it. It's like I love learning. I love.
You sound like me.
I love learning. I loved being in school. I hated college, but I literally hate. I mean, college in the 90s was all about going to business school. It wasn't about anything else.
Yeah.
But I love learning, and that's my thing. So
Learning
the fact that
fun.
I'm at this age and I still want to learn shit makes me happy.
People that get older and they end up kind of
Falling into ways.
You have to stimulate your mind and your brain, or you'll get depressed and wither up and be senile. I feel like you have to read. I try to learn something each day. If it's a word, if it's what this means, that's fun.
But I'm going to be honest with you, and this is the honest to God truth. It's a battle, because you honestly do. And I did not realize it until I turned maybe 45, all the way up to 50.
I forget how old
you
are.
You fall into the archetype. You really do. And you don't even know how you did it. But you fall into the archetype and you wake up one day and you're like, get off my lawn. That kind of mentality is easy to fall into.
Yes.
Because your body creaks a little bit more and you got a little bit more gray hair and this and that. And you're like, oh, I can't do this anymore and I can't do that anymore. And then you fall into that. It is the hardest thing to realize is that we fall into it. It's not something that we just suddenly wake up and you fall gradually into it. Mm-hmm. Your opinions start to blur a little bit. And you really have to keep an active, open mind about things. And that's a lot of hard work.
Very.
But the work is worth it because the experiences are amazing. The experiences are amazing. And it is so much fun. And Jacob, I have talked way too much.
No, you're fine.
I've talked way too much, but I have been a huge, huge fan of what you do. I have been, and I want everybody to know about it as much as possible. So you need to share all your shit, just like everybody else on the show. Mm-hmm. All your social media, all your stuff, so people can see what I see when I see your art, and we can fight and argue about it and have those discussions. That's when you know that people are right there. Is when they're fighting about it. When people are bored with you, they will keep right on walking. But when people have different opinions about what you do and they're fighting about it, you as an artist have done your work.
I've actually saved a bunch of I got messages from this guy who was telling me how much he hated everything that I was posting, and then it ended with, "It's because I'm jealous of you." And I was like,
exactly.
That felt so good because he was being honest. Yeah.
Because your honesty helps someone else be honest. When you reach down deep into the dark recesses of what we don't like to see sometimes and put it out there and you're 100% honest, people see it and they latch onto it. And some people will fight against it because it's like, oh, that's weird, that's sick, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, that's not really... Then that's another conversation that people have on the side where it's like, well, I didn't get why he had to smother himself with blood or have his heart beating in that one scene with what I think is Latin on his chest and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, but that just really delves into the self-loathing and self-hate that some gay men have and blah, 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 blah. And it's like having that conversation, it's thrilling and exciting because when an artist puts that out there, it's thrilling.
I'm like, but really deep down, he just really needs to get fucked hard.
Yeah, but really deep down, that's the agreed statement at the end. But he really just needs to settle down.
He needs a good fucking.
He needs a good dick. That's what he needs. You know what, Jacob? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for being on our show.
Thank you for having me. This meant a lot. And I have so many dirty things to talk about next time. I'm over here smiling, but I wanted to keep it light for the show.
But you've grown and evolved since the last time you've been on the show, and it makes me so. I'm just really very. I'm not going to say proud. Do I want to say proud?
Yes, for pride. You have pride
because,
in this.
Like I said, every time I give you a compliment, you're like, well, yes, but what is a compliment really? Are you really just really on talking about myself on the outside and blah 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 blah? And I'm like, just take the fucking compliment, bitch.
That is funny.
It took me a lot to just compliment you on that.
That was a really good impression. I was impressed by your acting skills.
This is how well I know you.
No, that was pretty good. I usually don't smile, so I was trying to.
And by the way, this is not even his voice saying this. This is him in a text, and I can hear his voice in my head when I give him a compliment about something, and it's like, oh yes, well, it's just this and that and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, oh god, here we go. This is what I deal with when I deal with artists.
You're like, okay, so you can come over. No.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait, are we going to go ahead?
I didn't mean to upset you. Just
does this mean we're not having coffee? I mean, it was just a simple hello. But I make fun of you, but I love you. I'm not going to say I get your art. I never want to get your art. I always want to explore it and talk about it. I don't want to get it in the first 5 minutes and go, oh, I got it.
No, you get it the way you, and it's okay if people don't get it. I'm not offended if people don't understand something. That's okay. But the way you were describing the project, it was really nice. I really appreciate that.
I think Bully is an evolution. I think Bully's your biggest evolution ever. And where you go from here is going to be to the moon.
Probably a music video with Max Zando.
So you're going to be, and Max
Zando? Max Zando.
Max Zando. I'd like to have you on the show next time.
Sure.
I'd love to have you. I really wish I could have just mic'd you up, but I didn't realize that. I thought I was just going to be talking to Jacob. So when you showed up, I was like, oh, I don't have any questions. I don't have anything to say. I don't know anything about her or any of this other stuff. So this and that. But send me everything because, like I said, I look at everything. When people send me stuff and I don't understand, when I get...
Max is a muse of mine, so that's why I had...
And that's why I looked at her and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Was she at the piano bar the one time? Blah, 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 blah. One of the videos that you had?
She was in a video I had.
Yeah, she was in a video that you had from a while back, I think.
It was 2 summers ago, which feels like last summer because of COVID. So it was like last year we were all in timeout. So.
Yeah, so that's why I kept looking at her going, wait a minute. She was in one of Jacob's videos, yep. But I'm trying to remember but I remembered you from one of his videos, and I was trying to picture it in my head, which video it was, because I've watched a lot of his videos. And you did, I think you popped up in 2 videos, I think. Did you?
Yeah, Max is in a couple of the Jacob Socialite show episodes.
Yeah, that's what it was. I was
trying so hard not to. The old me would have been like so diva-ish about that, but right now I'm just like, I do have so many videos, so it's okay. And Max, I was actually in one of Max's music videos at Avant Garden way back in the day. That was pretty cool.
So I'm
Possessed.
I'm gonna have to have you on, but I want Charlotte to be here. As well.
I actually wanted to see their interaction.
I know.
To see their interaction. I was wanted to see about that.
I'm very curious about the interaction. So I would love to have you on the show when I can get Charlotte in the studio. But like I said, Charlotte has Bitch Boy Undies going on, which is she does jock straps and undies and all kinds of stuff, and she specializes with trans men as well.
So is there like some sort of like tuck game with the underwear that like it comes with?
I really...
Or is that's different.
Not for trans men.
Okay.
Not for trans men.
I get confused. Yeah. I'm still learning.
He does make stuff for trans women too, but he tries to focus on trans men.
Whenever I'm trying to like get these pronouns correct.
You feel old. It's like, I'm like, oh my, I need to make sure I'm saying...
Oh, that's good. It's keeping you
alive.
Them
is the one that I have the most problems with because I'm still focused on gender, and it's still gender is still in my brain, and I'm still working on it. But when it's the trans community, he her is easy. I mean that's the easiest thing. But when it's the non-conforming and using they them, that's when I have the most issues. So. I just want to make sure. I always just try to make sure that I get the pronouns right. I try, and if I get them wrong, I hope most people are 99% of people are understanding. But if I keep they know I'm not doing it on purpose. I've seen people do it on purpose, and it's like, bitch, I will shut you down right now.
Yeah,
I will shut you down. You are basically doing that on fucking purpose, trying to hurt that person. So yes, I think before I close out. I think it was Ben Shapiro, and I'm trying to remember the name of I think she was a lawyer, and she said, if you get my pronouns now wrong one more time, I'm sending you home in an ambulance. And I said, bitch, yes. And I think Ben Shapiro looked at her and didn't say a word after that. But I ran across that on Facebook video. So I was waiting for you to get here, and I was listening to music, and I had a lot of stuff going on. So I need to watch that video in full.
I actually went to bed just so I could be more coherent with what was going on, because for days I'll be working on a piece and blah, blah, blah. But I rested just for the show.
Well, thank you for resting up.
Yes, thank you for being a human being and sleeping like we all do. Yeah. But I always say that I dream whenever I'm awake, so I really just had to actually... And I don't think I even dreamt last night.
I'm going to be honest, Jacob. I was a little worried because I'm looking like at 8 minutes into the show, and I'm like, I'm really trying to pull teeth with this bitch. I'm really trying to, because you enunciated well, but trying to get you to talk about certain things was a little. Well, I had to pull you, but once I pulled you, you were there. I
still feel like I haven't mentioned. I just didn't want to be as dirty as I'm used to.
Yeah, exactly. Because we really didn't get into the Jacob Socialite diaries from the past, but we'll talk about that another time.
Yes.
And by the way, people they can still look it up on YouTube, right?
You just look up Jacob Socialite. You could Google it. You could look it up on Facebook. You could look it up on OnlyFans. You could look it up anywhere.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Because they are amusing. They are provocative. They are. I'm going to use the term provocative because I just think they're amazing videos to watch.
They're like little
vignettes.
Little angels and demons that come out of my mind. And I'll edit these little things, and I'll be half awake, half asleep, and I'll wake up the next day and I'll find videos that I forgot I was even editing because I work on them like very hard, and it's sometimes they're really good, and sometimes it's like, whoa, this is out there. So that's always fun to watch.
Yeah, so it's good to see your confidence but don't take 6 months to put out a.
Oh yeah, well that one was a deep one. Now I'm kind of getting more into comedy. Like I love making fun of certain things to the just like it's me getting out something that I want to laugh about, I want others to laugh too. But that piece was dark, and I just felt like I had this thing I needed to get out of me, and I'm glad it's.
Well, I think we get enough of that from your Facebook posts sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
It's like, he's trying to be outrageous.
Oh
right
no, with the comment too, I literally said, "Are trans women?" Question mark. I wanted to see what people said. Plus, sometimes you're drinking and you don't really care, but you want to see who says what. Only one girlfriend of mine. She was an actual female, said something about, like, I can't answer this question. And I think about 2 gay men spoke up for trans, but the rest was just like, kind of, I don't know, just kind of shit talky. But actually the guy who messaged me who said, I fucking hate you and blah, blah, blah. And, how dare you, you're using your platform to divide us. I secretly messaged him and I said, thank you for actually speaking up for trans women because nobody else is. And then he said, well, I hate that me and you are the same age and your posts are getting all this, all this attention, and I'm secretly jealous of you. And I was like, I like this guy. Jimmy Cunningham. He's also an artist. He's really good.
He's a
naked chef on OnlyFans too.
It's a very provocative question, and I think it was a very important question to put out there. Because you wanted to find out what people's.
It's fun to me. They're my art half the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I definitely love the race thing. That was cute.
Which one? A friend of mine, my black friend noticed African American. He said something too about.
You can
race.
say black. Black is okay. I don't know why y'all keep going there.
I think people that don't know me, they'll think with the race and with those questions, it's hard to assume things whenever you don't know me. But I feel like because I know I'm not racist or I know that I'm not phobic with anything, it's fun to find out who is or how people think. Because what was the race thing though? I'm sorry.
I cannot remember, but it did make me think about the fact that when I sometimes go on the apps, and there was one person. Of course, he didn't have a profile pic. Of course, he did, and his moniker was race play. And he would send me messages.
I know what you're talking about. Racist sex is hot. It's the hottest sex.
Is racist sex the
Are
hottest
you into
sex?
That? I feel like
never.
Never?
No, I've never.
Ooh, I don't know if it's just for like.
But he kept pursuing me, and I'm like, "What, dude? Why are you? I'm not interested." And
like he wanted to like.
Yeah, he wanted to do the.
I feel like you regret it.
You know,
you wish you did it.
It's. I know it's kind of a role playing thing, but I'm not. I'm like, no, I'm not really comfortable with you calling me. I've seen some.
So I'm really
I've seen some
up.
videos where that happens, and I'm like, I'm just not really comfortable with another person calling me the N-word.
Yeah,
so
I think this is so weird. I literally cried in high school from this boy calling me a faggot. He was like, "Oh, you faggot," and like bawled. Years later, though, I saw him again and I yelled "faggot," and he was like, he looked real quick and it felt so good. But now I don't. Now I get off. Like when I'm watching a porn or even with dudes, if we're like, oh yeah, you nasty faggot, you suck that dick. I'm like, oh, he loves me. Like that's so sweet. Yeah, it's to me, it's almost like taking power away from the word and using it for sexual healing.
And I get it, and I don't fault the black men in the videos who do it. I don't fault them at all. It's what they want. It's if you enjoy it, then do it.
Yeah,
it's just not for me. It's just not comfortable. But if you enjoy it, I don't fault the black men in the videos at all. Not at 100%, because you were willing to do it. It's just something that you enjoy to do, and it's something you get off on too, because it takes two people to get off on something. So if you get off on it, that's great. And I'm not going to sit here and criticize the black guys in the video who do it too, because I don't think it's fair to criticize the white guys in it, because there's a black guy involved. So if I'm going to criticize them both, or I'm not going to criticize them at all. So I've chosen not to just criticize either, because that's something that you enjoy doing. It's something that you want to do, and you have an audience for it. So why not? So, but it's not for me.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
I learned this actually from a porn star named D Siren, that I'm really into humiliation. I never knew that.
So and
I love verbal stuff.
I guess I don't like to think that I'm plain vanilla when it comes to gay sex.
Oh no, I don't think you are.
No, I mean,
I've heard some things.
Okay, well,
I've seen some videos.
Okay, well, I'm not going to deny that those things happened. I'm not going to deny that they happened, and I'm not going to deny the fact that maybe a little alcohol was involved, but we had a good time and nobody got hurt. Nobody walked out of here limping or bloody or anything, but everybody has their thing, and like I said, when you get to this age, you realize everybody has their thing. Why criticize it? If it's two people and they're sharing in the comfort of their own home, having a good time doing what they want to do, what you got to criticize it for? So that's that. So thank you for being on the show, Jay.
Thank you for
having me. We talked an extra 15 minutes.
That was nice. It was really nice. It was nice to listen.
Which always happens on this show. I try to end it at a certain time, but it's like, we're just going to talk another 15. Which I think my audience has started to get used to. It's like, they're not going to end this show right here. They're going to talk for about another 15, 20 minutes and call it a day. But no, I pretty much think we can put the nail on the coffin on this one.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you for being my very special guest. Everybody have fun during Pride. Please be safe. I know what happened was that Florida? With the car running into, which I think was deemed an accident. I think that was an accident. So, because I was a little worried, because I don't need all these people using their cars as weapons to run in the crowds. I'm a little...
Okay, that's scary.
Yeah, that's a little scary. But thankfully, that was just an accident. So I think we can breathe a little bit outside of relief. And there will be a lot of security out for Pride. If you choose to come to the bars for Pride, they're going to close off all the streets. It'll be back in the neighborhood, so to speak. Pride Houston will do their thing in the fall. They have not announced the dates, but they will start announcing the dates, I think, sometime in July. So we'll all know when. I'm hoping for October. Because, that
would be awesome.
I mean, Halloween's coming around. Anyway, might as well do it all in one shot.
Yes.
Might as well.
It's not that far away.
And it's not that far away, and it's cooler.
Then you'll get to wear a Halloween costume.
Yeah, and I'll get to wear, maybe if I get the body where I want to get it. Not that I have body issues.
We all do.
But, just a few pounds here and there. I'm not trying to be I don't want to be a muscle boy. I just want to look good in a pair of shorts and a T-shirt. That's it. That's really all I want, is to look good in a pair of shorts and a T-shirt. And if I can go lower, if I can, wear a little less, I'm okay with that too. Because if I could see my brothers out there wearing absolutely nothing at all and doing their thing, and
shorts,
exactly,
some overpriced shorts,
some Daisy Dukes,
yes, really expensive ones. They're pink. They're pink. Yeah,
girl, just get a pair of old jeans and just cut them up. How much money you spend it?
No, they were expensive, but they were worth it.
And just cut a pair of jeans up, and
I have those too. Yeah,
just color
my Daisy Dukes. And my mom just looking at me like, look at those legs. I'm like, jealous.
Well, you 34 and already skinny. I got a lot more. I mean,
no, rock those Daisy Dukes.
I'm a rock.
I'll give you a pair.
I'm a rock them. I don't think we're gonna be. We might. Well,
trust me, I have all sizes. Things change.
I'm down to a 33. I'm down to a 33. So I might be. I might be able to fit that. I'm proud to say that too.
I know, I can tell. You should be. There's nothing wrong too with. I like big guys too. I love a big teddy bear, like a big man to pick you up and lay on his belly. I think that's hot.
Look, Houston being one of the most diverse cities in the country, It's a smorgasbord of men out there. I'm not going. I'm not discriminating.
I don't know where they are though.
There's a smorgasbord. I've met all kinds of men of all nationalities, sizes, genders, whatever. Oh no, there's too much sex to be had. There's a sex adventure out there. There's a sex adventure waiting for me.
You have that adventure. I'm gonna be.
Yes.
I'm gonna be looking for love until
Okay.
then.
Well, you do the love thing.
You do this, yeah, okay. You do the sex thing. I'll do the love thing.
I'm not gonna. Let's support each other.
Support each other's
in
choices.
Let's support each other in our truths
and what we choose.
and our truths, and call it.
Yeah.
Of course, I might end up falling in love, and then you might end up being a whore. I don't know.
No, honestly, that might happen. That really, once you get a little of that taste, because I'm saving my, But yeah.
I'm ready to. I've saved myself for too long. I'm ready to get everything
I'm
open.
close there. I'm pretty close.
Everything was closed down for COVID. Now let's open it back up and get to work. All right. Well, we're out of here, and we will see y'all later. And I'll add the ending later.
Bye.
Bye.
This show is sponsored by Tubi's Woodworking. Tubi gives you wood. Also brought to you by Bitch Boy Undies. Get you a pair or else. You can follow the show on most social media at That Lil Gay Talk Show. Check out the website, thatlilgaytalks.com. Music and vocals by Jamie D of Diamond Cut Entertainment.